minimum, had a high degree of awareness that the statements were probably false. But we can look to the video. Here's Logan Paul complaining that CoffeeZilla reached out to his manager rather than him personally.
Maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally. Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven.
But when CoffeeZilla reached out to Paul, he heard back from Paul's lawyer.
Well, I did reach out to you, and I got no response. In fact, the only response I got came on my 4th attempt to reach Logan, but this one came from his criminal defense lawyers. A guy named Jeffrey Neiman emailed me after my 4th attempt saying, "Steven, see inserted on behalf of Logan Paul."
If you're a web designer, here are 4 Wix Studio features you gotta know.
Now, to be honest, I had no idea who Logan Paul was until I researched the lawyer and learned that he, quote, regularly defends individuals and corporations in white-collar criminal litigations. And that's when I realized, oh, that Logan Paul. Why didn't you just say you defended alleged white-collar criminals? Would have saved me a Google search. So I opened up the letter and it read, "We represent Logan Paul. Mr. Paul has informed us of your outreach about the status of the CryptoZoo buybacks. Mr. Paul remains committed to this process. We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal. In the meantime, please direct to our attention any further inquiries to Mr. Paul. Thank you for your patience and understanding." Now, that might seem like a good step in the right direction to you. At least we got a response on behalf of Logan.
And as CoffeeZilla points out, there are 2 things absent from the lawyer's statement.
But when I read their response carefully, I realized things were actually worse than I thought. Because 2 things are absent from this statement. 1, a timeline for refunds, and 2, a plan for refunds. I mean, you have this abominable statement which says, "We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal." So you're still at the whiteboard then. Guys, this is a statement you say when you have no plan or you're stalling, right? You say, "We're evaluating the best options." I mean, that's where Logan was back in January. He was evaluating. Am I supposed to believe 6 months later, you guys haven't figured this out? You've gathered all the boys in the office, brainstorming every single day. How do we refund people? And you don't know?
Now, recall that we talked about how Logan Paul is currently being sued in real life by Tom Kirker, attorney Tom, in arbitration, and they're seeking damages caused by Paul's crypto venture. But perhaps the most shocking thing about this whole thing is that Logan Paul's lawsuit, the complaint, actually admits a whole bunch of the stuff that attorney Tom was going to have to prove for that case, which is one of the reasons you should never file performative lawsuits in the first place. Even though it's the right thing to do, not filing a performative lawsuit, you should do it for self-interested reasons. Here, it'll very likely prejudice the defense of his case against the accusations in the other arbitration. Moreover, the whole complaint basically admits that CryptoZoo was broken beyond belief, which most people would qualify as a scam, but Logan Paul just claims to be a victim of his own developers. Now, it's not dispositive, but Merriam-Webster defines a scam as a fraudulent or deceptive act or operation. Paul committed $1.8 million to pay people back, but for some reason after 6 months, he never followed through on his 3-step plan. Though, in fairness, since there is a whole bunch of pending litigation, that might be the reason why he hasn't taken remedial steps. You need to figure all that out before you can start paying out millions of dollars. But still, one is allowed to have the opinion that by not paying off the victims, that you're simply perpetuating a scam. Here's CoffeeZilla reading from the post where Paul outlined what he would do.
I mean, listen, he had more of a plan, Logan did, back in January. I'm not even sure what there is to even still figure out, because way back then, January 16th, he said, "I've committed more than $1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. Players will be able to burn their base eggs and base animals for their mint price." I mean, there it is. That's the plan. Pay a blockchain dev to code that up and pay the victims their money. That's it.
This video also calls Paul out for not explaining himself for the delay in paying people back, and I can't fathom that there's anything false here. Many people were wondering about their refunds, but Logan Paul wasn't responding to them, leading them to conclude that he was being deceptive when he made the promises. Again, people are allowed to have their opinions based on the disclosed facts. And even CoffeeZilla predicted that Logan Paul would eventually claim that he had to be silent because he was a defendant in a lawsuit.
Only he's tried this before, and it didn't make a lot of sense then either.
I had to rely on my team. I crumbled internally, and the advice was, while actual legal process was going on because of criminal investigation taking place, CoffeeZilla highlighted in his series, I had to stay silent. And for a year, I'm hounding Jeff, How do we make this right?
So at base, CoffeeZilla is going to have two probably pretty good defenses. First, these comments are 100% true. And second, they form the basis of his legally protected opinion, which is that Paul is a scammer because he cheated his fans out of millions of dollars. And then finally, Paul's third claim is that a January 5th, 2024 YouTube video called Logan Paul's Refund, CoffeeZilla accused Paul of orchestrating a massive con, referred to Paul as a serial scammer, and claimed that Paul scammed those who bought Zoo tokens or CryptoZoo egg NFTs.
It is still 100% within Logan Paul's power as a near billionaire with Prime to make things right, fully right, with his fans who he scammed.
On January 4th, 2024, Paul officially announced on X that his CryptoZoo egg NFT buyback program was operational. He posted a link to a website where holders could submit a claim for buyback, with Paul committing up to $2.3 million of his own money to the effort. And on that same day, Paul sued Ibanez and Greenbaum, alleging that they'd scammed Paul and he relied on their advice. Now, CoffeeZilla's January 5th video was published one day after Paul sued the developers and finally made a refund offer. Paul claims that since CoffeeZilla had many of the documents and text messages Paul cited in his lawsuit, that any characterization of Paul as a con or a scammer is false and defamatory. But CoffeeZilla's video explains that Logan Paul's refund offer came with a bunch of strings. He was offering up to $2.3 million, but the estimated damages are more than $18 million. And anyone who accepts the refund must waive their legal rights to participate in a lawsuit filed by attorney Tom or in any other legal action against Paul.
Logan may be losing. Put in that light then, this refund starts to look less like a good faith attempt to make things right and more like a cynical bargaining chip to avoid getting in even more trouble.
Now, I don't know if Logan Paul is acting in good faith, but CoffeeZilla is perfectly entitled to that opinion. And there's no way to prove that factually, in Logan's brain, he had good intentions all along, including when his lawyers made the settlement offer. But CoffeeZilla certainly has plenty of reasons for concluding that there was a con and a scam. And as he points out in the video, he watched Logan's fans beg for a refund for 3 years.
But I was wrong. I mean, I wasn't wrong the first time he said I was wrong when he said he was going to still finish the game. I was wrong that he was going to do it at all.
But even after 12 months of work, you've still managed to overlook one crucial piece of information. See, even though I've said it's coming so many times, you've assumed that CryptoZoo isn't being made. Who are you to decide when the development timeline ends? Trust me, CryptoZoo is coming. I will make damn sure of it.
Oops. So much for making damn sure of it, because there's no game.
And despite hemming and hawing about the game, Logan Paul didn't actually finish the CryptoZoo game. And ironically, the lawsuit that Logan Paul filed against the developers made good use of CoffeeZilla's investigations and videos about Ibanez's background and Greenberg's secret sales of tokens.
Turns out, Eddie Ibanez's entire backstory was a fabrication, including the MIT NFL story. Can you believe it? It's like, yeah, we know. And then he goes, yeah, well, you won't believe what I discovered. Crypto King secretly sold tokens. Yeah, we know. Logan just shamelessly rips off my work claim for claim without citing it. I mean, he says things like, Mr. Greenbaum would later admit that he made millions of dollars through surreptitious sales of Zoo tokens. But where did Logan find that admission? Was it perhaps when he investigated my video? Time and time again, this lawsuit copies my work, but is embarrassed to cite it. So they even have to say things like, based on public reports. What kind of report? Mr. Ibanez made approximately $1.7 million from selling Zoo tokens. I could swear I've heard that before. And for my calculations, he made about $1.7 million.
So Logan Paul has sued CoffeeZilla for making false statements because he keeps repeating facts that Paul has acknowledged in his own lawsuit against the developers are true. But Logan Paul just doesn't like how CoffeeZilla has characterized these facts.
Guys, if you're looking for a school that is 100% online, offers low-cost tuition, and has over 135 degrees and certificates, you've got to check out UMGC. Right now, there is no application fee through August 29th, and get this, you can transfer up to 90 credits towards a bachelor's degree so that you can get credit for your experience and fast-track your degree. So why not explore your options? Apply at no cost today.
Oversimplified food safety rules lead to overcooked meat. Until now. The predictive thermometer from Combustion Inc. tracks all the time spent at bacteria-destroying temperatures and adds up their body count like a meticulous accountant. Just select your food type and let SafeCook do the rest. We added SafeCook to the predictive thermometer so you don't have to choose between delicious or safe. It can be delicious and safe.
Now, sure, Logan Paul wants people to look at these same facts and conclude that he had positive intentions and then he got taken advantage of the bad guys. And maybe you do, but you're also welcome to conclude that Logan Paul is a serial scammer, because two people can draw different conclusions from the same facts and it doesn't qualify as defamation. And while things that are labeled as opinion can sometimes give rise to defamation, they still need to be a verifiable fact. And there's actually case law applying the word scam in the context of a cryptocurrency scheme. And courts have decided that using the word scam in the context of a cryptocurrency scheme is generally not a verifiable fact that can be proved true or false. But even if you could, it would still qualify as an opinion. And that makes sense. We call things scams all the time when there's an outcome that we don't necessarily like. Logan Paul asserts that you can only use the word scam to describe something where they intentionally intended something to steal money from someone, but that just doesn't jive with the regular definition of scam that we use all the time. Though it might actually apply in this case too. We don't know. Now, Logan Paul's lawsuit seeks compensatory damages for the harm to his reputation, emotional distress, and punitive damages, and an injunction to prevent CoffeeZilla from continuing to report on CryptoZoo. But the bottom line is that Logan Paul filed this lawsuit because he wants to silence his main critic. And that's the very definition of
not good. That's not that bad. Went from bad to good. Oh man. So fast. I thought that was being worked on, I can tell. What? He gets his pallet. I'm gonna do this. What the fuck, though? Pallet. Why are my... Non-functional audio.
Of a slapster. And even though CoffeeZilla won't be able to use the TCPA, he still has every other defense to a defamation lawsuit, including his statements are true facts, and also his own opinions. The First Amendment also protects rhetorical hyperbole, which is how we describe exaggerated over-the-top speech employed for rhetorical effect. And frankly, even if these statements were defamatory, Paul would probably struggle to prove damages. Now, so far, CoffeeZilla hasn't said anything publicly, which is very smart. He's hired some great attorneys, and it looks like he'll let them do the talking, which, again, is smart, because when it comes to IRL legal disputes, this shit gets real. Now, as far as I know, CoffeeZilla has not started a GoFundMe or a campaign to recoup any of his legal defense costs, and those can get astronomically expensive. Ethan Klein of H3H3 incurred hundreds of thousands of dollars in a fair use dispute, and that was 10 years ago. But the next best thing would be to support CoffeeZilla on Patreon, which is where he gets most of his funding anyway. I'll put a link to CoffeeZilla's Patreon in the description of this video. I highly recommend becoming a member of CoffeeZilla's Patreon and contributing what you can. CoffeeZilla does great work, and it would be a real shame to let someone like Logan Paul silence CoffeeZilla. And in fact, I did a little digging and found that CoffeeZilla is actually represented by some very good attorneys. In fact, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you might actually have heard of them, because CoffeeZilla has retained Mark Bankston and Bill Ogden over at Farrer and Ball. They have been spearheading much of the defamation litigation against Alex Jones and are responsible for the approximately $50 million verdict for the Texas plaintiffs against Jones. And Bankston in particular is responsible for what might be the cross-examination of the decade, when he created the Perry Mason moment, when he crossed Alex Jones on the stand and caught him in a lie after Jones's attorney accidentally sent Bankston the contents of Jones's phone. We talked about that at the time. It was an epic and textbook cross-examination skewering. So CoffeeZilla is in pretty good hands. But don't take it from me, I reached out to CoffeeZilla's lawyers and got Mark Bankston on the phone. Mark, thanks for being here. You are actually representing CoffeeZilla, is that correct?
No, that's correct. My partner Bill Ogden and I have agreed to represent CoffeeZilla in this very exciting suit.
You know, in the world of online lawyers, there's a whole spectrum of people that are qualified and that are not. Quick perusal of your resume seems to indicate that you guys know your way around defamation.
Yeah, most folks are probably aware of my defamation practice through the lawsuits that I brought against Alex Jones and InfoWars on behalf of several Sandy Hook parents. This situation was used on the different foot. This will actually be the first time that we are defending someone from a defamation suit, but it is something we very strongly believe in this particular case.
What has happened so far?
Right now, very little has happened. There hasn't been an answer in the suit or anything like that. You would usually, in most states at this point, face an anti-slap motion. That type of motion is not available in federal court in the Fifth Circuit in Texas. In this case, the federal court venue was chosen, and there seems to be no obvious reason for that except to avoid the anti-slap motion. Ironically, this is a very, very vicious attack on CoffeeZilla's reputation that really he has no way to vindicate except going in the court and winning on this suit.
Reading the complaint, I was very surprised that Logan Paul had completely rehabilitated his image, and then CoffeeZilla just came out of nowhere and besmirched him for no reason whatsoever. So I found that to be very surprising.
Yeah, it seems far-fetched. I guess we'll have to see where Discovery takes us on that. Definitely. I mean, look, you can look at this suit, and it has all of the hallmarks of a classic slap suit. There's not a single person on this planet who can look at the situation and say that CoffeeZilla knew and intended to tell lies about Logan Paul. You know, I think I knew it before he became my client. I think I know it way more now. If there's something that man cares about, it's the truth.
True Food Story is empowering and inspiring people to eat real food. For us, it's really important to evaluate every single ingredient that comes into our program and just make sure it's the best that we can possibly find.
True Food pushes us to live up to the word organic in every way. They've guided us to new and unique items. The organic sauce, the combination of 5 ingredients worthy of the customer that's going to eat it.
We're working together to help something literally grow more efficiently and work closer to the ground, and we're willing to invest in that because we're part of that solution.
When we're sourcing these ingredients, things like regenerative and organic are important because it's giving back to the earth and it's making sure that we're going to have this farmland for generations to come.
In Norway, we have 3 feed suppliers. We went to the feed company and we said, we want our own feed.
We don't use any vegetables, we don't use antioxidants, and no carotene like that to color the fish.
The growing focused on quality of the fish, sustainability and environment.
True Food stands for the endless pursuit of providing our guests with an amazing experience.
We find the best ingredients, we find the best partners. They exemplify the exact standards that we're trying to achieve here at True Food Kitchen.
The most amazing thing about this partnership is being able to put this story onto a plate and touch people every day.
He is devoted to that principle, like very few journalists that I see today. This case really presents a David and Goliath type problem. You look at somebody like CoffeeZilla, yes, he has a lot of YouTube subscribers. I mean, I'm sure he makes money. You know, I'm sure he does fine. He's not anywhere near the capacity of his opponent. I mean, his opponent has unlimited war chest to come at him, and could essentially use the suit to drive him off the internet. We're not going to let that.
So in terms of next steps, I would assume there would be a motion to dismiss based on the allegations of the complaint, or maybe if you wanted to get feisty, pre-answer discovery. I don't know if that's available.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you can't look at that complaint and not take judgment on the pleadings. I mean, that's just what you think the moment you see it. Are the statements being made even something that can be verified as true or false? What does it mean to call something a scam? The word scam can be interpreted a lot of different ways, and it does not mean one thing to all people. Businesses and bad deals are described as scams constantly.
This is not the only suit that Logan Paul is in related to the crypto scheme. He's currently facing other lawsuits related to the nature of that, and it seemed to me that a lot of those allegations are going to be deleterious for the litigation that he's in outside of this particular case.
The thing that I kept thinking to myself is that if I'm any one of those claimants in those cases, I'm extremely interested in the things that were said in this complaint. And as a result, I'm very interested in how this lawsuit progresses.
All right, dude. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Take care. But even with great lawyers, lawsuits are still stressful, and it's easy to lose your appetite. Unless you use today's sponsor, Factor. Because Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. And the meals are completely ready to eat in just 2 minutes. You can eliminate the hours it would take to shop, meal prep, and cook, so you can spend your day doing the things that you actually want to do. You can choose from over 35 different options a week, including ones that are keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie, and more. And on top of that, Factor offers lots of snack options for when you don't feel like a full meal, like breakfast smoothies, juices, small bites, and more just to keep going no matter what's on the schedule. And Factor meals arrive at your door pre-prepared and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. The same amount of time that I can even think about going to the grocery store, my Factor meal is already done. Which is great because sometimes I just want a good, healthy meal without having to cook. And it's surprisingly affordable as well. Way less expensive than takeout and those pricey delivery. And now Factor offers Gourmet Plus meals as part of your weekly options, so you can try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus. But honestly, you can't go wrong with their normal offerings either. Factor's team of gourmet chefs creates each meal to help you feel your best all day long, and they really are extremely delicious.